Welcome to the TQS Online AS9100D Overview and Internal Auditor Training course. We are pleased you chose our course and hope that it will get you on your way to understanding the AS9100D requirements. The term QMS will be mentioned throughout this presentation and refers to the quality management system. TQS is a Pittsburgh-based consulting firm established in 1992. Our staff of professional consultants has assisted over 300 clients with the successful implementation of quality systems including ISO 9001, AS 9100, ISO 14001, ISO 13485, ISO/IEC 17025, and recently OHSAS 18001. We conduct internal audits for our clients and also provide on-site training. Our lead ISO auditor has prepared this course for you. The course will share his 30-plus years of ISO implementation and auditing experience. This course is divided into 3 sections. Section 1 will provide you with a general overview of the key focus and fundamental principles of the standard that represents the foundations and objectives of AS9100D. It will familiarize you with the new structure of this revised standard. Please note that the new requirements and sections of the standard are shown italicized and are highlighted in yellow for your reference. There is also text shown in red that represent the requirements that are unique to AS9100. Section 2 provides you with an overview of the AS9100D requirements, followed by a brief explanation of the changes from the previous published version. Each requirement is followed by auditing questions that will assist you in conducting an internal audit. Section 3 of this course will provide you with the auditing techniques that you'll need to conduct internal audits to this standard. This section will focus on tools commonly used for audit preparation, including planning and conducting process audits, auditor responsibilities, audit steps necessary to conduct a thorough internal audit, reporting findings and recommendations. We will provide you with typical questions used to start the interview process, value-added auditing, how to identify major and minor audit findings, and how to document your results. This section concludes with an in-depth case study to allow you to practice what you have learned. Now, let's get started with the course. The main principles of the ISO 9001-2015 standard are listed here. Customer focus is paramount and is the core focus of the standard. Top management leadership is required to drive continuous improvement of the organization. Engagement of people includes internal as well as external resources, such as suppliers, interested parties, and regulatory agencies. As mentioned earlier, your QMS needs to define and monitor the key processes of the QMS. Continuous improvement is a key clause in this standard. Your organization needs to utilize risk-based thinking and data analysis to drive improvements. Evidence-based decisions are based upon facts and trends in data. The analysis of data clause in this standard will provide guidance on the type of data used to evaluate QMS performance and make informed decisions on opportunities for improvement. Finally, the management of relationships, especially with suppliers of goods and services, is essential to ensure conformity of products. Several new terms have been used in the AS9100D standard, and a few are derived from the ISO 9001-2015 standard as well. From ISO 9001, we get 4 new terms. The term documented information replaces the terms document and records. Its application includes the medium on which that information is contained. Although the term is different, the requirements for control have remained the same. The term interested party is any person or organization that can affect or be affected by a process-related decision or activity. The term context of the organization is a combination of internal and external issues to an organization that can affect the achievement of its objectives. The term external provider is any entity not part of the organization that provides a product or service. From AS9100, we get 2 new terms. The term counterfeit part is defined as an unauthorized copy, imitation, substitute, or modified part, which is knowingly misrepresented as a specified genuine part of an original or authorized manufacturer. The term product safety is the state in which a product is able to perform to its designed or intended purpose without causing unacceptable risk of harm to persons or damage to property. Process maps are a commonly used tool to define QMS processes. This illustration shows the inputs, activities, and outputs, including measurements, resources, interfaces, and risks for the customer service order process. A performance indicator matrix is another common tool to align an organization's processes with the performance measures used to control, monitor, and evaluate key QMS processes. This method can also be used to comply with the analysis and evaluation requirements in the Standards Clause 9.1.3, explained later in this presentation. Top management must establish and document a quality policy that is consistent with the strategic direction of the organization and provides the framework for setting the quality objectives of the organization. The quality policy needs to be communicated to personnel in the organization and be made available to interested parties outside of the organization. Making the policy available to interested parties can be accomplished by including the policy in literature distributed to the public, or inclusion on your company's website. This slide further defines how a risk management system is developed. The organization should utilize history of nonconformances and lessons learned from previous experience to help identify potential risks. Risks are ranked by probability of occurrence, severity, ability to detect the risk, and consider the controls in place to address the risks. A process failure mode and effects analysis is a common tool used to identify, rate, and track risks. Let's discuss how this template is completed. Enter the header information to uniquely identify the FMEA. In the first column, enter as concisely as possible the function of the item being analyzed. This includes any business function or operational activity. Next, enter the potential failure mode and the manner in which a potential process failure could occur. A recommended starting point is a review of past things gone wrong, concern reports, NCRs, and group brainstorming. Next, describe the effect of the failure in terms of what the customer, internal and external, may experience. The SEV column is the severity of the nonconformance. Severity should be estimated on a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being not severe and 10 being very severe consequences. Next, list the failure cause and/or failure mechanism for each failure. OCC is the probability of occurrence. Occurrence is the probability that a specific cause or mechanism will occur. Rate the probability of occurrence 1 to 10, 1 being low and 10 being highly probable. Removing or controlling one or more of the cause or mechanisms of the failure mode through a process change is the only way a reduction in occurrence ranking can be effected. Next, list the controls in place which will detect or prevent the nonconformance from occurring. Detection and prevention methods are usually defined in work instructions. DET is the probability to detect the failure. It is usually the ability of the current controls to detect the subsequent failure before the component subsystem is released from production. Rate DET 1 through 10 in the same manner as severity and occurrence. The RPN, or risk probability number, is the sum of S times O times D. This value should be used to prioritize concerns. For higher RPNs, the team must undertake corrective actions to reduce them. Special attention should be given to high severity values. When the failure modes have been ranked or prioritized, corrective action should be first directed at the highest ranked concerns and critical items. Some actions that should be considered are revised test plan, process design, revised material specifications. Enter none to indicate that no actions are required. Next, enter the individual responsible for the recommended action and the target completion date. After action has been completed, enter a brief description of the actual actions taken and the effective date. Lastly, record the resulting severity, occurrence, and detection rankings after the corrective action is implemented. Calculate and record the resulting RPN. All resulting RPN values should be reviewed and further actions taken if required. An auditor should determine the basis for determining risks, whether the risks are ranked, and if appropriate corrective action is being taken to mitigate the highly ranked risks. Please review these audit questions that will assist you in performing an internal audit of this section. Clause 8.1 defines the requirements for planning and implementing controls on the processes outlined in Clause 4.4 and for addressing the risks defined in the Planning of Risks section of the standard. Organizations must consider a variety of activities and characteristics listed in this clause when determining the requirements for its products and services. Furthermore, as appropriate, the organization needs to plan its process activities to meet its requirements at an acceptable risk within its resource and schedule constraints. The organization must also implement a process to control changes to its processes and evaluate the consequences of unintended changes. Appropriate action should be taken to mitigate possible adverse effects. Planning should include the controls for the temporary or permanent transfer of work and also ensure that outsourced processes are controlled, as defined in Clause 8.4 of the standard. Please review these audit questions that will assist you in performing an internal audit of this section. Now that we've reviewed the AS9100D standard, let's begin Section 3 to review internal auditing roles, responsibilities, and techniques. Let's start with an overview of auditor responsibilities and techniques. This section includes an explanation of different types of audits, the tools commonly used for process auditing, how to plan a process audit, how to conduct a value-added audit, the responsibilities of an auditor, audit steps necessary to conduct a thorough internal audit, from preparation through reporting, the most commonly asked questions used during an audit, tips on how to get the most out of auditing, how to identify major and minor audit findings, and how to document the results of the audit. The section concludes with a case study to practice what you have learned. What is a quality audit? Internal audits are a systematic, independent, and documented process for obtaining audit evidence that procedures are being followed. Audit evidence are the records, statements of fact, or other information that the auditor obtains during the audit which are used to assess compliance with a procedure or instruction. The audit criteria are documented in the procedures and instructions that you are auditing. The main purpose of the audit is to determine compliance with the AS9100 requirements, to assess the effectiveness of the implemented quality system, to identify areas for improvement and drive corrective actions. Internal audits promote confidence with customers that we do what we say we do and we verify compliance. Common types of audits include internal audits, sometimes called first-party audits, are conducted by a company's internal quality systems auditors. External audits are generally called second or third-party audits. Third-party audits are conducted by external independent organizations, generally known as registrars. This is the independent organization that audits your quality system for registration to AS9100. The responsibilities of an auditor include staying focused on the scope of the audit, becoming familiar with the type and scope of the audit, acquainting yourself with your assigned areas and the standard that you are auditing against. You should prepare any tools needed or required for the audit, including checklists, quality system documentation, previous audit notes, and reports including past findings. You should confirm your schedule and appointments with designated contacts. The lead auditor normally resolves scheduling conflicts. Conduct audits according to your planned scope and document and report your findings and observations. An auditor must complete audit evidence to support their conclusions. You will normally participate in team audit finding reviews and share observations that support other areas. Follow the designated format for reporting audit results. Be prepared to confirm the status of the system by reporting whether procedures, documents, reports, and other quality system documentation exist, are available, understood, and are used. Be prepared to present and justify your findings to the lead auditor, the audit team, and the department manager in charge of the process. A good auditor must have strong oral and written communication skills, have the ability to maintain independence and objectivity, organize an interview and report results, execute sound judgment utilizing audit evidence, and understand the culture of the work environment. Audit findings are usually classified as major, minor, an observation, or a recommendation for improvement. A major finding is a systematic breakdown in an entire element. Generally, you find multiple occurrences of a procedure not being followed. The general run is 30% or more. A minor nonconformity is an isolated occurrence. An example would be that a documented instruction exists to describe the processes, but full compliance or system understanding does not exist. Compliance records exist but are not signed and dated. An observation is something heard or witnessed that may indicate that a nonconformity may exist but cannot be substantiated without further investigation. A recommendation is a suggestion made to correct an audit finding or to improve the suitability or effectiveness of a process or quality system. You should utilize the principles of value-added auditing to drive your recommendations. The following slides include a case study for you to practice what you have learned. Once you have reviewed the case study, identify and document your findings on the internal audit finding report provided. Once completed, review the answers shown in red text.